In 2015, I did not have any privacy in the bathroom that year. 2015, I didn't have any bathroom privacy. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Aaliyah. If you're coming back, hi. I know this is a bit of a shock, maybe different from my most recent posts, but on this channel, I like to share about my trauma and adversity, what I've overcome, and I like to share the wisdom that I've gained from those experiences because I've survived, I have strength, I have a voice, I have passion, I have purpose, I have many reasons why I'm alive, and my YouTube channel is one of those reasons. And so, this video, I'm going to tell you more about what it was like to live for a year without bathroom privacy and other things that are very much real and happening and lived realities for thousands, maybe tens of thousands, I don't know how many, hundreds of thousands of teenagers um, imprisoned in troubled teen institutions around the United States and more than likely beyond the United States. So I was in a troubled teen institution in 2015 from March through December. I was 17 years old. I had just turned 17 that year in January. And this video, there's so many different things that I can share about my experience in the troubled teen institution. And if you have specific questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments because I want to educate more people. I want to answer your questions. I want to tell you my experience of what it was like to be inside the walls of one of these hellholes. So I have a list of prompts and questions and things here. And so I'm just gonna go through them and answer them as honestly and truthfully and thoroughly as possible so that you get an idea of what the troubled teen institution consists of and what people who go through, being in those institutions go through, like what it's like. So just about the bathroom thing, there was a ton of bullshit rules designed to dehumanize and control us there. And the bathroom thing went like this. Whenever we had to go to the bathroom, we had to ask for permission, and if we didn't, we were at risk of being physically restrained, aka physically abused, physically hurt, or losing privileges to go outside, right? Just one control tactic or other, not being allowed to go to the gym, not being allowed to go out to the park on a Saturday because sometimes they would take us in the white van. Classic, right? White van full of kids. It's just disgusting to think about this. But yeah, so if we didn't follow the rules, we were dehumanized even more. So the bathroom rules were ask permission to go in the bathroom, and no matter what you're doing in there, peeing, pooping, whatever you're doing, either you could count out loud while you excreted into the toilet, or be silent, but you have to show the staff what you left in the toilet every fucking time you go to the bathroom. If you didn't want to speak, that's what you had to do. And their justification for making up that rule was that, we don't want people to be, eating disorders like purging in the toilet. Even though the program was not built around eating disorders. And I certainly was not there for an eating disorder, although I'd say I've developed more of one being stuck there than I ever dealt with. I developed IBS when I was there because of the stress and the trauma. And we were so malnourished. So every time I went to the bathroom, I had to either count out loud while I peed or pooped, or, I don't know, pull out a tampon or something. And if I didn't do that, I would have to show the staff what was in the toilet. And, who wants to fucking count out loud when they're pooping? You know what I mean? Next time you go to the bathroom, just think about that. And then think about it for a week, and then think about it for a month, and then think about it for 5 months, and then think about it for 12 months, and then think about the girls who are living in these places, and boys in some places, who are stuck for years. Some of these places, people have been stuck there for years. And at the institution that I was trapped at, the longest I think any of the girls had been there was maybe around 2 years, maybe a little longer. But imagine having absolutely zero privacy in the bathroom for 2 years. I was only there for 10 months, so I'm saying a year. It's easy enough. It was basically a year. Beginning of March to literally December 31st. So, yeah, I had no privacy, and I became like pee shy. And this is kind of intense to talk about, but there's a reason why I'm sharing this, is to raise awareness. And what I mean when I say that is, for years after being there, I could not pee in public restrooms. I mean, public restrooms are already really uncomfortable because you can see a crack through the door and you can hear other people doing their business. Like, I don't know if everyone really thinks about that or feels the same way. Some people just don't care. But, using the bathroom just in general became something that was deeply interrupted for me. And my body would just get tense every single time I was like, just pee or poop. And it's so ridiculous to say this out loud. It's so embarrassing, but I'm not ashamed of myself. I think that it's like, who the fuck is alive and talking about this right now? Like, you know what I mean? It's such a unique, vulnerable experience to go through. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna see. So what happened if you didn't count out loud or follow the rules? Well, you would probably not be allowed to shut the door, and that's happened before. Girls have been punished by showering with no curtain and no door. So like, someone else could just walk by and see them in the shower. And of course they had to wear a bathing suit, but it's like, who the fuck wants to wash off the day while you're wearing a bathing suit? Like, so there's that. And then also just the lack of privacy, the humiliation, the invasion, the surveillance. It's an abuse, it's a torture mechanism used to break people's sense of sovereignty and autonomy, and it's used to reinforce this idea that you don't belong to yourself, you belong to me. And so do all your bodily functions, because if you don't perform your bodily functions in a way that I approve of or that I have control over, then I'm going to double down on my control over you, and I'm going to change the way you eat, I'm going to change the way you move your body, I'm going to change the way you sleep, I'm going to change your sense of privacy, I'm going to take away your fucking bathroom door. Okay, so I was never watched while I was on the toilet because I always counted or showed them what was there, but it did have long-lasting impacts. And then about periods and stuff, I was in a house full of females, and we got our periods, and with the period thing, I honestly can't remember. I think that if I had a tampon, I maybe just wrapped it up and threw it away. I don't know. Maybe I didn't count for that one. I don't know. I think that I just did my business as normal, and probably preferred not to count out loud when I was dealing with my menses, But I'm very curious now that I'm thinking about this to just see what comes back up in my memory. What was it like to have my period in this situation? I don't remember that. How did it feel to be observed every time I had a basic human need? Well, it's dehumanizing as fuck. It makes you brace. It makes you question everything. It makes you freeze. It makes just laying down on the couch or reading a book or just relaxing feel dangerous. It makes everything feel dangerous. And the longer that you're there, going through being watched, being surveillanced, being controlled like this, the more hypervigilant you learn to become, and the more your body braces from these experiences, and the more you hold, and the less joy you're able to experience when you finally get out of these places, the less freedom you feel, the less safety you feel in your own body. And forget about being around other people. You know what I mean? But when you go through that, it's like abuse survival boot camp, and the shortest term that anyone is ever there is like a year, mostly around that, 8 months to a year. It's like the shortest time span and anyone is there. um so when you go through that, not only every day of your life, but every minute of your life you are being watched. Every minute of your life you're being controlled. Every minute of your life you don't have privacy. You don't have any fucking privacy, and it can be taken away from you or manipulated at any second. So your body learns to brace. It learns to fear being relaxed. And think about that. It's like a double bind. It'll make you sick, when you can't move, when you're just trapped in space. It's just, that's how it is. Did I ever need to hold it in just to avoid humiliation? I, yeah. I never consciously tried to hold it in when I had to use the bathroom. But if it was something like a poop, for example, thinking that I had no private, who in their right mind is okay with counting out loud while they're taking a fucking shit? And who in their right mind is comfortable with knowing that my shit is going to be looked at every time I leave it in the toilet if I don't count out loud while I'm pooping? And you know what happens when you poop, when you pee? I think when you poop especially, it like presses on the vagus nerve. And so pooping is supposed to be like kind of like a mindless, almost relaxing experience, because it's supposed to kind of shut off your like vigilance and your survival things, right? Because in nature, in the wild, when you're pooping, you need to just be present with the poop and like let it like come out. And because if the predator is coming, you're gonna like clench up and hold. But pooping is like the ultimate somatic release. You're literally opening the fucking sphincters of your bottom half and letting this waste go, letting shit go. You are releasing. And a poop is supposed to biologically be like, you're supposed to mentally feel passive. And if you have to push, you have to push. But it's like you know what it feels like to poop. It feels good. It feels relieving. You're literally letting shit go. It's always a relief. You always feel better after you do it. But imagine having to clench up when you're doing it. Imagine training your body to fight its own instincts. That's what being at the Troubled Teen Institution was like as a whole. And the bathroom example is just one example, okay? Stay tuned, watch more videos, ask more questions if you want to learn more about this experience. But this is just one aspect, and I could talk about it probably for hours. What happened if I asked for privacy? It wouldn't have been given. It wouldn't be given. It wouldn't be an option. I would have been humiliated. I would have, maybe if there was a kind staff on that day, they would say, I know it sucks, but you have to do it. These are the rules. But I wouldn't get it. You can't get privacy in there. You know what I mean? You're not allowed privacy. Were there any bathroom related punishments? I mean, aside from what I mentioned earlier, like, breaking a rule and like reclaiming your fucking sovereignty and privacy and getting the door privacy privilege taken away from you, and having a shower with the curtain open and the door open, being forced to wear a bathing suit, being forced to watch by someone, male or female, whether they were on shift. Nothing I can think of. Yeah, how did that mess with your body image or nervous system? Well, again, when you are put in a position where you're trained to brace in a moment where your body is like naturally trying to release and relax and go into parasympathetic mode and put down the vigilance for like half a minute, and your body is not allowed to do that, it makes you so tense and so tight. And I haven't talked to any of the other survivors in the Troubled Teen Institution about this specifically, but I'd be curious to hear what other survivors have to say. I know that there's some who might come on my channel sometimes, so if this was you and you feel comfortable sharing, you know, I'm standing here in solidarity with you, and um, I'm personally curious, like, what other people's experiences were like if they had to deal with this bathroom kind of situation. Um, but yeah, for me, to this day, still, my body doesn't fully relax when I go to like use the bathroom. Normally, a normal human, a safe human, would feel relaxed. They'd feel the urge and they'd go and their body would let go. Um, but for me, my body learned to brace. And it's not always been like that for the years after that. Remember, this was in 2015 and it's now 2025, almost 2020. So this was almost 11 years ago when this started. And yeah, it just kind of almost permanently changed the way that I experience relief and release when I actually use the bathroom. That is so intimate to share, but it is the reality of the Troubled Teen Institution. So I'm letting the truth be free. What would I say to someone who thinks that's discipline? How would you like it? I would say, how would you like it? I would say, try FaceTiming a stranger every time you go to the bathroom. And do that every time you use the bathroom, every day of your life, without fail, without missing a single bathroom time, and see how that feels. But not only, FaceTime them, tell them, you count out loud while you're peeing or pooping to the stranger on FaceTime. And you can put your camera, your phone on the counter. You don't need to look into the camera, but you need to count. You need to make sure they can hear you. And if they can't hear you, and if you don't want to count, you can still have them on FaceTime on the counter. But before you flush that toilet, you must show them what you left in there. And do that every single time you go to the bathroom. If you think that's discipline, then try it on yourself. What's the point of discipline? The point of discipline is to bring more structure and order or organization to your life, not to knock your biology out of whack and confuse your nervous system and make you brace when your body is trying to do a natural function. It's like they train your own nervous system to kill itself, to go against itself. That's what torture is. That's what abuse is, because you start to fear existing. You start to fear your own breath. You fear your own fucking bladder. You fear your own bowels. You fear other people because of what was done to you. And it's not something that can be explained away. It's not something someone can say, "Oh, I'm safe, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you." It's what your body was trained to remember. It's how it's like when you're a little child and you are stirring the pot of pasta on the stove and you burn your arm. Look, I have a burn from a pot. I don't think you could. There it is, that little brown dot. I burnt my arm on the side of a pot. So what did little 4-year-old me learn? Don't be cautious about the side of the pot. It left a scar, and this is my reminder that pots get scalding hot when they're on top of a fire. And discipline is not something that should leave a scar and permanently remind your body that that thing is not safe. Discipline is supposed to be for supporting you to achieve your goals in a healthy way that keeps you accountable and balanced and supported. But it's abuse. It's not discipline. What is something I still carry from that? I think that, well, isolation is a big one. Stress is a big one. And to be completely honest, I'm a very affectionate kind of person, and I feel really relieved and secure and safe through physical touch with people that I feel safe with. And if anything, the tension that I had to go through alone, it's such a humiliating, embarrassing, vulnerable, tender type of stress to carry, because unless you're like super duper close with someone who loves you, who wants to hug you while you're sitting on a toilet crying your eyes out, then good luck. You know, finding comfort on your own and healing from that on your own. It's not something where you trip and you fall and you cut your knee and then the ambulance can come and stitch you up and support you. It's something that is extremely isolating, extremely tender, and this abuse is designed to put you in this kind of position to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel embarrassed, and you know, our like pee and poop in the bathroom. It's like societally, you know, we don't watch other people go to the bathroom. I mean, other than public restrooms, we can hear whatever anyone is doing, and we can see other people's feet under the stall, and we can see through the cracks of the freaking restroom doors, which I think is bullshit. Like, why is that only in America and not in, you know, European countries, for example? Like, bathrooms in foreign country airports are way more secure than bathrooms in America, and I think if you're here, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it trains you to hold tension all the more and by yourself, right? Just think about this. I'm here making a video on YouTube talking about my bathroom trauma, right? Which is embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed about it because it was done to me and I actually feel empowered, you know, shedding light on the fact that this happened because it's not a reflection of me. And even if someone is shy or has issues or trauma with using the bathroom, it's like, we shouldn't shame them for it. We should support them. We should learn about it so that we can be more compassionate. And what I find actually really telling, especially as I'm sitting here telling you this story of my bathroom trauma, you know, how I was abused in the bathroom and how that manifested. I have never, ever seen a book on this topic. I have never listened to a podcast on this topic, bathroom trauma, as a result of surviving a troubled teen institution. I have never seen this specific type of trauma inside of a movie before. I haven't even heard of it on other troubled teen institution videos or movies or podcasts or whatever, at least not in a memorable way. But I think the fact that this is so not talked about is so telling of what abusive systemic abuse does to a person's soul, because in our society I think we're trained to fear and cower in the face of these things that are considered taboo or embarrassing. And you know, like when you were a kid in public school and someone mentioned pee or poop or genitals or whatever, everyone would go like hee hee, like, oh, you're so like taboo for, you know, talking about this. But it's like, no, you're fucking not. You're fucking human. You think it's taboo? We shit and piss multiple times every day. We literally come out from the closest possible body cavity orifice next to where we also pee and poop from. Like, we're born sometimes covered in shit. You know what I mean? In the amniotic sac, like, I think we shit and we piss in there and it just recycles. I don't exactly know if that is what happens, but it's like, why does this have to be taboo? Why do people have to be ashamed about it? I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, but I think it's just fascinating that when I read that question to myself, what are you still carrying from this? I'm like, oh, I'm carrying the whole experience of it. I'm carrying the conversation by myself because it's not something I've ever really talked about much other than maybe my therapist or close friends here and there about my experience, but it's not something that I've ever sat down for 25 minutes and had a conversation about before. So, you know, I hope that this helps someone else kind of release their shame, or if there's something that you're carrying that's traumatic that no one else is talking about, I want you to know that I want you to realize you don't have to carry shame around it because it's not yours to be ashamed of. You know, the fact that you're having an emotional response or a trauma response to something is valid, and I don't care what the hell the response is about. You're having a response, and that is valid in and of itself. And if other people want to avoid it or cower away from it or judge you for it or go hee hee or like be immature because, oh my God, you're talking about pee and poop, like, oh my gosh, shut the fuck up to them, and like, you be proud of yourself, and like, love yourself, and give yourself permission to accept yourself and understand that you don't need to be ashamed of the fact that you were abused, you know what I mean? But that's what they want. That's the whole goal of abuse, is to erase you, is to get into your psyche in the most intimate places so that you're cut off from connection. Because when you go through an experience that's real and alive, and all of a sudden you're not allowed to talk about it and share it, what happens? It starts to eat away at you slowly. Next time you like get to know someone and you get close to them and they're, becoming close, and then this thing just triggers you. This triggers your memory about this shameful thing you experienced, and they're conditioned to think that that's taboo. So you shut down, you stop talking about it because you need to save face, and you're afraid that they're not going to meet you. So I think a lot of survivors carry that shame and that sense of, my trauma, what I've survived is too taboo. People don't know how to talk about it. But, I'm here to break that. I'm here to change that. I am here to change that. Let's talk about our pee and poop trauma. That was never ours to begin with. We were abused. It was done to us. And that should give us all the more reasons to talk about it, even louder, for the people in the back, the people that still think it's actually a taboo, because it's not. I mean, maybe culturally it is in a way, but there's nothing shameful about being human. And I don't know, there's nothing shameful about being human, like, we have been indigenous people living in harmony with the earth for forever. And now, we're living in a colonized world that trains us to fear our own biology, to fear our own magic, our own power. And part of that, yes, is fucking peeing and pooping. Because you know what? Those things are magical. But we don't express gratitude for those things on a daily basis. We don't have any, celebrations or, public prayers or, colloquialisms that appreciate the fact that our excretion sphincters are working. I know in Judaism there are prayers about, thanking God that your sphincters are opening and closing properly, because those are the muscles that are keeping waste contained without going systemic in your body and letting them go when it's time to let them go. And that's a miracle. If you're healthy and you're watching this and you're not systemically ill, then you have your sphincters to thank. You have your drainage to thank, and it's a miracle. There's nothing taboo about it. But what abusers do is, again, they tap into those places where we have been colonized into being ashamed, so that if we ever try to heal from it or bring it to light or talk about it or seek justice in the face of it, it's like the whole world is like going to be pitted against us, because all of a sudden no one wants to even look at you because you're talking about pee and poop. You know what I mean? They don't even see the heart of your message. They just see on the surface like, oh my God, you're so controversial, so again, that's why I'm making these videos. And yeah, so listen, if you have any questions at all about what else I specifically went through in the troubled teen industry, like, I would love to share my experiences. Put your questions in the comments. Like, I'll make whole entire videos about whatever topic you want to hear about, because the world needs to know about this, and we need to decolonize the parts of our psyches that have learned to be ashamed. And we can't really liberate and heal from our shame until we embrace the fact that we're human and we don't need to be ashamed of being human. And having a response, a reaction to abuse or to being traumatized is actually really fucking powerful, because it shows our humanity, it shows our resilience, it shows our vulnerability and our preciousness and our sensitivity and our, worth in a way. because it shows that we're alive. It shows that, something happened, something was wrong, and it happened to us, and it was wrong, and we're hurting because of it. And those tears and that pain, should be a call for connection. It should be a call for celebration. It should be a call for more hugs and cuddles and sharing meals and building each other up and building community, instead of cowering and hiding because we're ashamed of something that colonization taught us that we should be ashamed of, aka pee and poop. But it's so human. It's so absurd that people are embarrassed about it. Like, talk to any nurse and they're over it. It's like, yeah, it's a part of their job, cleaning diapers every day and cleaning vomit, whatever. It is, bless them, you know what I mean? But it's like, not everyone is a nurse, but not everyone has decolonized their bodies really from the somatic memory of feeling ashamed of maybe the fact that you too have bathroom trauma, and there's nothing shameful about it. So I'm going to end it here. So thank you for watching. I hope that this helped whoever needed to hear it.